So what is psychometry anyway? I've had people ask me that. Do you do readings? Oh, what kind of readings do you do? Are you a medium? And I tell them I'm not a medium, although I could really easily be a medium because ever since I was a teenager, I could see and hear those that have passed on and other entities out there. And I never was drawn to that. I didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable with it. I like doing the healings. I like doing the psychometry. I like doing other aspects of it, aura scanning. And so just being in tune with, in touch with different spirits. Um, that was not a comfortable spot for me, but they always liked to bother me. As a teenager, they would walk past my door, back and forth at my door, and asking to come in, begging to come in, crying at the door. And I was raised from a very young age by holistic, metaphysical, spiritual home. And my mother ended up being a world famous psychic and psychic researcher and lecturer, instructor, author, Carol Ann Learos. Um, and so she taught us from a very young age about how, to meditate, about white light, psychometry, and auras, and everything that goes along with the whole realm. And there was as a teenager, I've got this white light barrier in my room, and my room is just filled with the white light. And I tell them, no, you have to go away. No, you have to leave. And there was this one in particular, and she would cry and cry and cry and beg to come into my room. And I tell her no. And looking back on it now as a mature adult, looking back all those years ago, is that, was it really a woman? Or was it someone that had created an illusion as to who and what they really were? And, what would they need to come into my room for? I go out throughout the whole house. So, but they wanted into my room, the room where I sleep, where you are and you are asleep, your unconscious, subconscious, part of yourselves. And that's a very vulnerable state to be in. Somebody that really wants to come in. So learning about the white light was very important. And so we did that, and we practiced that pretty much on a daily basis, did all of that. Psychometry is holding an object that belongs to someone else and tuning in through the vibrations of that to be able to connect in with their past, present, future. Some people are good at the past. Some people are good at the future. And not everybody can do everything, the past, present, future. And so, when you hear someone's a psychic, assuming that they're a medium right off the bat, it doesn't really fit, because some people, they don't even see those that have passed on or other entities, spirits, and they can't see them or hear them. I could, and I did, and I could describe them. I would go to a hospital to visit a friend or a family member, and I'd be walking down the halls, and I can see these people, and they would come up to me, who have passed on, and want to talk to me. And I'm already in an emotional state because I'm visiting someone in the hospital, and they're coming up to me, and they're either emotional or they want to connect. And I just at that younger age, had nothing to offer to be able to help them. And just really, what can happen too is they can end up following you home. And the next thing you know, you have a household of uninvited guests. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that for myself. I wasn't interested in doing that. I wasn't interested in doing it for work. Another thing is going to a cemetery and going to a funeral home. And I even now, as I can see the person who has passed on, and quite often they're up at the head of their casket, and they're standing there, and then they'll flit around the room to other people, and they're listening into conversations, and I can feel their emotions, the one that is passed on. And other times they come up to me and they want me to tell someone something. Now I don't know this person that they want me to talk to, and that's uncomfortable. I mean, to go up and say so and so is here, and they want me to tell you, and it can be create an uncomfortable situation, especially if somebody doesn't believe in that sort of thing. So being careful too of making sure that you are keeping in within the comfort zone of those that are around you. And we never want to violate their personal space and beliefs either. It was always taught to us to never go up to someone and say, hey, can I tell you something? Because you've tuned into them and something personal, and you want to tell them something psychically. That's a violation. You don't do that. You don't have the right to tap into other people about their personal life psychically and intuitively, and then just go up and tell them. There are people that are just very private, and it is private. It's their own personal life, and they don't know me. And now, if there are gallery type readings and people are there and they know that's why they're there, they're hoping to get chosen, they're hoping that you will tap into them with somebody that has passed on, and that's totally different. That's acceptable. That's why they're there. Growing up, learning the different methods, psychometry, tuning into something to be able to give someone a reading. And there are the very common things are about moving and a job and love life. And I was drawn as I got older more into the business end. I wanted to give readings to people with their businesses. And because I found that whole personal stuff, it becomes boring after a while. It's repetitive for me. And, I wanted something a bit more interesting. I'm more business minded. And so that is why that I'm more drawn to that. And people would say, would you give me a reading? Well, I did that a lot when I was younger. I did the vendor shows, I did the psychic fairs, and was in Reader's Row and booths in New York and Florida. And I live in those two places. And so I've done that many, many times over the years. And then it came, I was really more drawn to the healing aspect, the healing energy, and the spirituality, and wanted to work with kids and teaching them. And I ended up becoming a volunteer at a crisis center down in Florida. And while I was there, and these are these young children, you go in and you see them where they, patches of hair missing here because it was pulled out, cigarette and cigar burns on their body, and child banging in the crib, banging their head, biting, and it was very impactful, emotional. And what I would start doing is I would hold them and just stroke their back and give them relaxing, healing energy, and put some white light around them as well. And they would calm down. And there was this one girl in particular that came over to me. We're sitting outside and the kids were playing, and I was sitting in a chair, and she just quietly came over to me, and I didn't say anything. And then she just kind of did this on my leg and just kind of stood there. And then she leaned up like this to me, and I could see the workers, they were watching, and they looked startled by this. And the next thing I know, that she's climbed up into my lap, and she lays her head on my chest and puts her arms around me. And I'm holding her, and I'm, stroking her back, and I'm talking and just softly singing to her and giving her white light energy. And so she fell asleep in my arms, later they came up and they told me is that she wouldn't go up to anyone, and she was very quite fearful that the male in the family, adult, had picked her up by the hair and had been slamming her up against the wall, and that's why she was missing this patch of hair. That was a pretty emotional day for me for that. And so I would send her, when I would go to bed at night, and I would send her white light. And so I'm really drawn to the healing side of things. And then after that, I became a guardian ad litem in the state of Florida. And then I was representing the children and doing my own investigations and representing them in court also. And then up north, I became a foster parent. And I was a foster parent to about 9 children from 6 months to almost 11 years old, all different ages in there. And so they would come into the home, and, I would do the same thing, is that when I'd hold them, sending them energy, healing energy, and being able to do it when they slept, and even with their food, when I'm making the food, I'm sending healing energy into it, calming, soothing, cleansing energy into the food. And so many different ways that we can do work with other people and with children. And even adults, I mean, somebody works at a homeless shelter, somebody works in a soup line. If you go ahead and you do a little bit of meditation and centering beforehand, and when you are there to serving with the food, as you can be sending energy into the food, healing, protective energy, cleansing energy, and kindness and just love into that food that you are serving to the people. So that is something that you can do, and it costs nothing to do it. So not only are you taking care of physical needs, but you're taking care of the needs on the other levels. And these are ways that we can use things that we are taught on an everyday basis, because if we have all of these abilities to be able to develop and use and teach, so that we could, and teach and have a living off of it, so that we are paying our bills and having food in our home and stuff. These are practical ways that we can use this in everyday life, in our work. And so I really implore even, not only the parents, but also caretakers, no matter if they're foster parents, if they're counselors, they're teachers, instructors, and you've got the police, and the list goes on and on. When you are working your everyday life, the more that you develop your abilities in meditation, psychic development, healing, all of these, intuition development, all of these you can use in your everyday life, you can use in your business. It becomes part of your life. It just becomes an everyday part of it. I use it on our pets at home, and, and the family members and things like that. Holding water and sending healing energy to that for cleansing in the body when you take it in. That's another way to do it. Your neighborhood, protecting your home, the white light around the home, and somebody going away on a trip. So even tuning into and saying, okay, is this plane safe? Is it going to go from its starting point to its destination safely? And taking a look at that, and not doing it with fear. You've got to set all that aside and just look at it in a practical way, because these are ways we can use everything that we are learning and developing and have the abilities of in our everyday life to help ourselves and to help others. And when we help ourselves, we are raising the vibration of not only ourselves, but we're also raising the vibration of everyone around us, because we are all one, we're all connected. And what we do for ourselves, we're doing for others. And when we do for others, we are also doing for ourselves and to those that they're connected to in their life as well. There's so many ways to use all of this and to learn even more. Like and follow, leave a comment, check out my website. I have my classes coming up directly from me that are going to be able to be non-secular. Secular is on OutSchool. I do teach there. They have different boundaries as far as what is allowed to be taught there. And I am happy to work within their boundaries of what they allow and what they don't. And then also I can offer on my own that are more non-secular, touching more on the metaphysical, more on the spiritual for you, for your family members. So I hope that you will, again, leave a comment, like, and follow.